Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and welcome to today's session. How are you doing? I pray that all is well with you and your family at this time. So as we're studying the Bhagavad Gita and we're learning the deep message of the Bhagavad Gita, every essential truth in life has a particular meaning, has an essence that it wants to convey to us. And as much as it does it in the form of a book, even within the structure of that book, there is an essential point that needs to be learned. And as we're studying the Bhagavad Gita today, we're learning that there is an essential point that this book is trying to convey to us. It's a very deep point because we've been learning about the spiritual platform and how to connect the soul on the level of Dharma to the spiritual platform. But what is the makeup of the spiritual platform? And as we're studying it again and again, the Bhagavad Gita is gradually revealing to us that there is a supreme personality which governs the spiritual platform. This person, in a generic sense known as God, is the personality of Godhead or the supreme spiritual being. And it's from this person that the spiritual platform exists. And again, the message of Bhagavad Gita is trying to make us aware of this person and guiding us towards understanding this person and developing our loving relationship with this person. So this relationship is so unique that there's nothing in this material world that can compare to this relationship. And it's so rewarding and self-satisfying that we all know we have our personal deep relationship with that supreme being at the spiritual platform. Now in today's verse, we're going to get to learn to know that person and understand the process that allows us to connect to that spiritual platform and connect to that person directly. So let's take a look at today's verse. Bhagavad Gita 2.46. Yavana artha udhapane sarvataha sampruto dake tavana sarvesu vedesu brahmanasya vijanataha. Translation: all purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. So we're learning a very deep point today, that everything has a purpose. We know that in life as well, the purpose of a job is to maintain your household, to maintain yourself. The purpose of friends, family, colleagues is to maintain yourself at a psychological and social level. And the purpose of objects and things is to also create a certain sense of well-being within a person. So all of these things have essential purposes. Now we are studying the Bhagavad Gita. What is the essential purpose of the Bhagavad Gita? Because thus far it has simply tried to help us with the maintenance part of life. When we're studying maintenance at the level of the body, then there's certain things that we need. And then maintenance at the level of the mind is certain things we need. So then one gradually comes to the question, what is the maintenance or the essential connection of the soul to the Supreme Being? There must be some utility, some reason, some connection for that. And we see that is to experience love. This experience of love is so deep within the human soul. It is the true intrinsic nature of the soul, to love and be loved. And this demand is so great that nothing in the material world can satisfy us at the level of the soul. So what is there in creation that can satisfy us at the level of the soul in terms of love? It is the relationship with the Supreme Being. So who is that Supreme Being and what is that Supreme Being about? And once all our utilities are taken care of, Our utility bills are very important to us, right? Because it maintains us. But beyond that, we have a deeper need to connect to the spiritual platform, to connect to the Supreme Being. And that need is love. We all need to feel that sense of love and be loved. If we're not experiencing that, even though all our utility is being taken care of, we are still empty inside. Because we haven't developed a deep enough relationship beyond matter, beyond anything material. If we take away everything material, can you still exist? This is what we're talking about. We're looking for a dimension of ourself that's so deep that when you take away all these external material things, we can still exist in a relationship. That relationship is with our Supreme Being. And in today's verse, we're gradually trying to understand the essence of all the teachings of all the scriptures in the world is to help us develop the relationship with the Supreme Being. So Prabhupada gives a very deep purport. He starts here. The rituals and sacrifices mentioned in the Karma Kanda division of the Vedic literature are meant to encourage gradual development of self-realization. So this is the purpose of all the rituals of Karma Kanda and everything we've been learning. All essential teachings come to this point of development. If we're not working towards development, then what is the value of the teaching? It sounds very nice to tell other people, right? Oh, you should do like this. Oh, that should do like that. So we only appease at the level of the mind with the teaching. But at the level of practice, that is where it counts. So what is the essence of all teaching we have learnt? Or what is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita teaching? That is the point we're coming to today. That everything has an essential point. It has an essential meaning that is meant to be experienced and realized. Until we come to that point, we're not going to develop anything genuine at the level of the soul. We will have a relationship, but it will be superficial because He's the maintainer. Because that Supreme Being maintains everything and everyone in this world. But if our connection with God is just based on that level, then there's something that the soul is crying for, and that is love. And it can't experience that in the material world to the degree that it wants. The closest we come to is motherly love, which is unmotivated and uninterrupted. But at the level of the soul, we have such a deep desire to experience love that even motherly love can't satisfy us. And we see that once you become an adult, then the relationship is different. It's not the same as when you are a child. But the longing for love is still there. So the connection from the soul, that relationship with the Supreme Being is essential, is an essential intrinsic part of life. So as we're searching like this, then what is the essential purpose or meaning behind self-realization? Let's see. He says here, and the purpose of self-realization, is clearly stated in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, 15.15. So in this verse, Krishna says there, Sarvaschaham hridi sannivishta mattasmittir jnanam apyohanamscha Vedescha sarveraham eva vedyo vedanta vid vedakrit eva chaham. So he's describing that sarvaschaham hridi sannivisto. I am situated in everyone's heart. Mattas mittir jnanam apohanamscha. And from me comes knowledge, remembrance and forgetfulness. The goal of all the Vedas, Vedascha sarver, the goal of all the Vedas, Aham eva vedyo, is to know me. Vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. I am the compiler of the Vedas. I am the knower of the Vedas. And by me the Vedas is to be known. So way up in the 15th chapter, this verse comes after a lot of realization that the goal of studying the Vedas or approaching the knowledge of the Vedas, if you had to compile that into one essential point, Vedascha sarver aham eva vedyo. The goal of the Vedas is to know me. So in essence, we found the meaning of the Vedas. We found the essential purpose of all knowledge. And in Krishna's words, that is to know who that supreme being is. So you can see our study of the Bhagavad Gita is bringing us to a deeper and deeper point of understanding not only ourselves at the level of self-realization, but also understanding God at the level of God realization. Vedascha sarver aham eva vedyo. That the goal of all this Vedic study in essence is to know me. Krishna is saying this point. So just like a huge reservoir is meant to give water to everyone, if you have a small well, it serves the same purpose. So in philosophical terms, what you'll achieve by the huge reservoir, you can also achieve by this small well. The both are giving the same thing. So approach a big reservoir is difficult. You have to probably go quite far. But if you have a little well, it can give you the same purpose. Just like in every Indian village, there is the water pump. This water pump, instead of going far to the river, which is so far away, you just use the water pump. It gives the same thing. So in the same way, one can study all the Vedas if one has the time and if one knows Sanskrit. There's a lot of criteria involved. You need time, you need a good teacher who can explain it, and in these days that's almost impossible to find. And you need to study Sanskrit, which means at least 11 to 12 years of full-time study to understand the Vedic Sanskrit language.
However, when you start studying Sanskrit and the Vedas, you realize that the Sanskrit of the Vedas is almost completely different from all other texts. In fact, Sanskrit has always been divided into two, Vedic Sanskrit and Laukic Sanskrit. Take the first word in Rigveda, Agni. In Laukic Sanskrit, it has only one meaning, fire. In Vedic Sanskrit, the root Agi, along with suffixes, acquires the meaning of Agra, as in the Hindi word Aage, meaning in front or coming first. Since the fire is placed first in the Havan Kund, it is called Agni. Also, because God appears first in the universe, he is called Agni. Because the king is first among his people, he may also be called Agni. Similarly, a leader could be called Agni. In fact, Agni can be derived from several other roots and has different meanings in those cases. Thus, in one small world, you can see how much complexity exists in the Vedas. Can you imagine how many meanings a verse can have?
And then only one can start on one's own merit to try to understand the Vedas. And even at that, if you try to understand from the mind and intelligence, and if you don't have a bona fide teacher coming in the disciplic line, then how do you know what you're reading and understanding is the proper knowledge? How do you know that is actually the truth that is meant to be conveyed? We remember when we studied about Agni, fire, how it has different words, has different meanings in different contexts. Agni meant the king, Agni meant fire, Agni meant God. So it meant so many different things. So if we don't have a proper teacher, we could be easily misled. Therefore, an intelligent person will say, then so what is the essence of all this? Vedascha sarver aham eva vedyo. The goal of all the Vedas is to know me. So once you know this point that the supreme spiritual platform, the supreme spiritual being is a person, and that person is Vasudev or Krishna, then you know everything about the Vedas. You've come to the essence, you've come to the quintessential essence of all the Vedic study. If you study all the Vedas and you don't come to this point, then what is the value? But if you haven't studied all the Vedas and you come to this point through the proper disciplic succession, the bona fide chain, then you've understood everything.